Thank you very much. I'll yield back.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Bridenstine, clearly orbital debris in space is a key challenge with Moon to Mars and International Space Station and a number of different space endeavors. I noticed your public quotes concerning India's testing of an anti-satellite weapon. What can NASA do to try to minimize the amount of space debris, either sponsoring or advocating treaties, or is there some cleanup mechanism? But what can we do to reduce the danger of astronauts, to astronauts from space debris?
It's an important issue. NASA has a role to play under the President's Space Policy Directive 3. We develop technology, we develop capabilities that ultimately, under Space Policy Directive 3, the Commerce Department would be responsible for space situational awareness and space traffic management. NASA has a role to play in technology development and capability development. I would also say we have a very different role to play, which is a role of, we are a tool of national power. We're a tool of soft power. And I think it's important for people around the world to understand that intentionally creating orbital debris that increases the risk to astronauts is not compatible with human spaceflight. And so if NASA can play a role there, encouraging people not to engage in these kind of activities, that's an area I think where we can benefit the world.
Was there any prior notice from India to the United States concerning their planned anti-satellite test and subsequent creation of this potentially dangerous space debris?
If there was, I was not aware of it.
Have there been any communications with India, either its military or space agency, subsequent to the test?
I sent a letter to the Indian Space Research Organization indicating that their activities were not compatible with human spaceflight.
Now, we have various agreements with India where we cooperate on space endeavors, do we not?
We do.
Is there any risk to those cooperative efforts because of India's increasing the quantity of space debris?
Say that one more time.
Sure, we have these cooperative agreements.
Oh.
India has done something that we're not real happy about because it puts our space assets and astronauts at risk. Is there any potential reduction of cooperative agreements with India as a result of their increasing space debris that is dangerous to our space efforts?
So the cooperative engagements, no, and I'll tell you why. I think it would be, we don't want to do anything asymmetric. If they're trying to go to the moon and it's in both of our interests for them to achieve that objective, then we want to continue to partner with them on that effort. And that we have not changed any of our cooperative agreements based on that incident.
Entirely different subject. Where does the United States stand among nations when it comes to astronautics technology, and what policies do we need to ensure our country's status as a leader in aeronautics and aviation?
So what technologies do we need?
Where does the United States stand among nations when it comes to aeronautics technology? Sorry, I gave you two questions back to back. We'll just focus on that first one.
Aeronautics, we as an agency, we're in the lead in a lot of different ways. As a country, we're in the lead in a lot of different ways. I think the two big, actually a number of big things. Low boom flight demonstrator, we want to prove that we can fly across the United States supersonic without creating a sonic crack that ultimately could be disruptive to infrastructure and people on the ground. That capability, once achieved, I think is going to be transformative for human space flight within, or human flight within the atmosphere. When we talk about the X-57 program, we're talking about an all-electric aircraft capable of carrying humans and crew. If it can drive down the cost by 60% of fuel, then that could be transformative and enable airplanes to fly, I guess, productively for profit in regions of the country right now that are underserved because the costs are too high. So driving down cost increases access to aviation capabilities. That's the X-57 program within the Aeronautics Mission Directorate. And finally, I think urban air mobility and integrating unmanned aerial systems into the National Airspace System is a critical capability that will be transformative. And in fact, it's necessary for us to be the world leader in that endeavor, just for competitive reasons around the world.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your answers.
You bet.